Our next question comes from Aman Alam and Kalvausha. It's a two-part question. And it starts off with, so Governor Rajan, what are your views on alternate currency like Bitcoin? And do you think that they will ever be stable enough to replace regular currency? And the second part is that do you think that shifting away from paper currency is an important objective, and what policies can encourage greater use of electronic or plastic currency, especially in India?
Okay. So first, should we shift away from paper currency? From an economy-wide perspective, the answer is yes, because there are transaction costs in making these paper currencies, in getting them to the right place, in pulling out bad currency, and also it's much harder tracking them. So if you do a transaction in cash, I mean, this is why a lot of black money transactions are done in cash, very hard for the tax authorities to get a hold of them, okay? So that suggests there may be some value to moving it to traceable electronic currency. Now, that's as far as the economy goes. As far as central bank goes, it's a very bad idea, because the way we make our money, the reason we paid 67,000 crores in dividends to the government last year was because people hold currency and don't ask us for a return on it. And then we can invest the currency that we issue in things like government bonds, in things like foreign exchange reserves, all of which pay something. Foreign exchange reserves much less than they used to, because interest rates across the world are very low, but government bonds are still paying 7.6% as of today. So that's great. And so we make that money, we pass it on to the government. We keep a little bit for our expenses. If we moved entirely to electronic currency, that revenue, which is called senior age revenue, would disappear, and we'd have to ask the government to finance us rather than us financing the government. Okay, so that's a different relationship from the one that currently exists. As far as non-traceable currency, decentralized currency of the kind that Bitcoin represents, essentially the most important aspect of Bitcoin is the decentralized ledger, that different people maintain ledgers. There's no centralized ledger that can be attacked and changed. So all these different decentralized ledgers of transactions that have taken place are updated independently. And so you can see, you can verify transactions without somebody at the center necessarily needing to be honest and doing everything there. So a lot of people are taken in by that idea and want to see how that idea can be expanded. But Bitcoin itself has a problem which is implicit in your question, which is the value of Bitcoin is highly variable. Now, for a currency, you typically want it to preserve value. It's a store of value. And if it's highly variable, you don't know tomorrow if it's going to be half its value today. You're not so happy holding it as a currency. One of the major attractions of Bitcoin is that it's hidden to the investigative agencies. You know, New Silk Road was one of the biggest users of Bitcoin, it was a shop that sold drugs, illegal drugs. So that aspect of these electronic currencies goes entirely against the aspect we want, which is that it should be traceable so that we can actually tax those transactions. So I don't know how this will play out. We certainly can issue a variety of electronic currencies. In a sense, your credit card is a form of electronic currency. But over time, there will be competition between the decentralized currency and the centralized currency. My sense is ultimately, either it has to be very useful for transaction costs, or we have to set up something that looks like a central bank to manage that currency. Otherwise, people will not have confidence in the value of that currency. So we may be back to where we started eventually, but let's see.
Thank you. We're going